My name is Jeannie Milgrom, and I'm here to share with you how I was able to trace my lineage back to pre-Inquisition Spain and Portugal. My maternal grandfather, who was the first cousin of my maternal grandmother, had left a tree that pointed out anecdotes about the family and pretty much a lot of the branches going back to the late 1700s. I took the tree back and contacted a genealogist in Spain that would help me go via all the church records to see if I could find clues that would lead to a Jewish past. Now, I had to first, on my own, find the records in Havana, Cuba, which are very difficult, and lead the family back to Spain. While my grandfather had left a tree that was pretty comprehensive, these trees that are generally left to us by family are not exact for finding these crypto-Jewish lineages. So finally, I was able to locate via the church baptisms, marriages, and death certificates a lineage of 15 grandmothers in a row going back to 1545. And there I had to start finding circumstantial evidence that would prove that the family had been Jewish. For example, I had to find that there was customs that were Jewish that were coming out in the marriage papers. I had to find, for example, that there was a lot of priests and nuns, which is typical in the crypto-Jewish families, because they make sure that we're able to keep our customs while the rest of the family is practicing Catholicism. So it is a matter of circumstantial evidence. However, I was not able to pinpoint the Jew in the tree, which is basically what was required to be able to say that I had been born a Jew. So even at 1545, I was not able to find this proof positive. Finally, I visited the village of my ancestors, Fermosella, Spain, which is on the border with Portugal. And while there, I realized that the family must have been caught in the Inquisition of Portugal. It was not easy to find anything in the Spanish Inquisition papers, and it had already taken me about 8 to 10 years sifting through last wills and testaments and notarial deeds. Every step that my family had taken, I was able to get through it. I even wrote my first book, my 15 Grandmothers, when I reached that point of finding 15 grandmothers in a row. But when I finally got to the Portuguese Inquisition documents, I was able to find 22 grandmothers in a row and at least 40 relatives sitting directly on my maternal lineage that were judged or sentenced in the Inquisition for being Jews. This proof positive took me to contact Rabbi Mark Angel in New York, who had my lineage and all my documentation studied by Dr. Stanley Hordes, who is an author of To the Ends of the Earth and knew a lot about crypto-Jewish history. Dr. Stanley Hordes wrote a document, and Rabbi Mark Angel wrote me just a one-liner that I had been born Jewish. Then I took all this documentation to the Beit Din Gadol in Jerusalem. It took them 2 years to put everything into Hebrew, and finally I got a beautiful letter telling me that I had come to Judaism in a very, let's say, circular way. It wasn't a direct route, but that God had chosen me to come in this route, and that all the female ancestors before me and those that would come after me would be Jewish. It's a huge accomplishment because now that I had these documents, it didn't make me any more Jewish than I had been when I had converted, because both were halachic conversions. And along the way, some of these rabbis even said, why do you need this? You can't turn salt into salt, meaning I was already Jewish. But for all intents and purposes, this meant the world to me, because now I know that all those feelings that I had as a child and everything that I felt afterwards came from deep-rooted feelings inside my soul that it just knew and brought me to this point to be able to say, Ani Yehudit.